Hi everybody, it's Mia. This is an evening video. I was disappointed because I was on a roll washing dishes. I'm trying to clean on and off for the past couple of weeks, kind of like a sort of a spring cleaning, a fall cleaning, and I was not getting work done and people were pestering me and I was not supposed to be open to patients, and I allowed myself, and I changed the message on my phone, I allowed myself to get sucked into other people's drama, only because I was doing a job. I wasn't trying to be social with people. And then I didn't wash my little appliance, and it was all moldy. So I'm disappointed in myself, and it's like I just get so upset with myself because it's like I have this habit of doing so much over here and then shifting all the way over here, like not staying in the middle of the road with stuff. To say, why can't I just put a timer on 15 minutes at least 3 times a day and say, just do kitchen cleaning, whether if there's dishes, if there's not dishes, if there's this, if the floor needs to be swept and mopped, and just set the timer and then go back to my work and set a schedule for my work and set a schedule for my lunch and set a schedule for the 2 breaks like you have when you're at a regular job, or if you're at the post office, you have them every 2 hours. But it's different when you're gone from home all the time, when you work and then have a self-employment. When you work, you can't do cleaning, you can't do homework, really. You can't do yard work. If you have inspections, then you're going to be up all night because you have stuff to do. If you work from home, you're still going to be up all night. So I haven't found the middle of the road, and I felt like I shared in a meeting today about thinking of all this grief, or I guess I didn't use the word grief, but all the shame of not having things right and meaning well. Oh, I meant to go through that box of stuff and declutter it and I threw a bunch of stuff away, but I needed to go through it again and decide what I really wanted to keep. So I was trying to, literally 17 years ago, we had a case manager named Deborah, and I remember her talking about the hoarder show. People had a warehouse. They moved somebody's house stuff, and it filled an entire warehouse. And she's like, your house is like that. And it made me overwhelmed because I didn't think anything was wrong with my house. I knew that I didn't like clutter, but I didn't feel so bad until people came in and told me how bad my house was. And I was like, and it wasn't bad. Here's the thing, guys. We have a lot of inspections. It's not minimal. It's not a minimalistic home. Okay, I don't know how much time I have, by the way. It's not a minimalistic home. I'll tell you that right now. But anyways, that's not the point. I'm comfortable in this dress and in these tights that I accidentally bought too big. A few years ago, a few things, either I bought the wrong size or they sent me the wrong size, the bigger size, and now I'm like, oh, I can kind of fit in them. Some of them are still big, but if I didn't get the wrong size, I would have to get rid of them. But I wanted to make a video, speaking of trying to clean and do a lot of stuff and feel like I'm failing at everything in life. I know a lot of people, especially women this year, have been, again, this is not to diagnose or, this is just my story. A lot of women I know, I'm going to say the past 3 years, not a lot, I don't know that many people, they've been formally diagnosed with ADHD as well as myself. I am undertreated or not being treated. I was told by one prescriber that I can't have any prescriptions for ADHD because I'm in recovery. And I had another provider said, if you have options for certain medications, but you have to come in and do on the computer ADHD tests. Because I was diagnosed with someone else, and that diagnosis went to this person. And then, who diagnosed me? I can't remember. Anyways, I think I know who did. Actually, I don't know who did, so I would have to figure out how to get records from those people. And then I went to another provider, or the same provider, sorry, was new, and I said, this other person said I can't do any prescriptions at all. And I got really mad, and I didn't ask. I wasn't drug seeking. I wasn't looking for, stimulants. But what I was looking for was a way to not die because I can't focus on stuff. And using the dark chocolates during medical school was really, really huge on self-medicating. And I've self-medicated since the 90s, literally, when I look back on my life. So I know people that have got on their stimulants, and now they're like, oh, it's not just that. I still have to learn and train my brain to do stuff. But they're doing so much better. And all women and the men that I know that have been on them since they were teens. So I was offered some antidepressant medications when I had a new prescriber, and I went and looked online. I mean, I would never say that to a patient, that you have 19 years clean and sober, you're not going to get any prescriptions for this. Because why? Because I'm going to abuse them? He's like, oh, heck no. Like, I won't even take Tylenol. Like, for Pete's sakes, I'm about to take a homeopathic for feeling like weird, like I'm sick or something like that. It could just be because they put asphalt on the parking lot and it's all seeped into our house, especially into our kitchen. Oh my god, it's like, it still reeks out there. We were watching that all day yesterday. If you see the video from yesterday, I don't know if I posted it, but it made me really mad. It made me really offended, and it almost made me want the medication because someone was keeping me away from it. I hadn't even considered, I didn't bring it up. What I bring up every time I talk about these conditions is, what kind of support can I get? Is there a notebook that I can get? Is there a special kind of app that can remind me to stay on track? Is there a binder or something there I can write down certain things and check them off, and it's not overwhelming? I'm not spending 3 days trying to write a to-do list, and it's a to-do list of things I've already do. Get some tea, wake up, brush your teeth. Yeah, I didn't even brush my teeth today, for Pete's sake. That's how bad things get, so distracting. Again, as a child, I was going to the youth center on the Air Force Base when I was old enough to be out of daycare. I think I was in 6th grade. The daycare was right across the parking lot. My friend's mom worked at the daycare center. My mom worked at the other place, the youth center, part-time. She had been already a preschool teacher, so she kept collecting jobs until she left there and went to, I think her boss was mean. Her boss was mean to me. Maybe that's after she left. I was trying to volunteer in the kitchen and stuff, and we got our butts chewed out. And I had been doing it for like a year, and then I was only allowed to like hand people stuff or scoop up. How do you do it with the machine? The snow cones or whatever, and the little paper cone cups. Anyways, I got my butt chewed out and never went back there again. And it's hard. I ended up with my mom at the roller rink, and I was able to volunteer because she became the manager. I was able to do what I want. It's like a civil servant job. So I guess she kind of got the same position as this other lady. And that was one of the first ladies that the word on the street, for at least for my family, was that she was gay. I didn't really see, I don't know if she was gay openly or if it was just like my mom could tell, and my mom was very nice looking, so who knows, maybe she had kind of like that, or maybe her roommate or whatever. I was not against it. It was just like not spoken of, especially with women, that much in the 80s. At least not where I grew up north, with all these conservative Christian white folks with a sprinkling, I guess, of Jewish people. So going back to the 80s, let's jump to the 90s, I would hear the rumors, and I'm just saying what I experienced, not necessarily bring up any news stories, any medical books, anything from any source except for my memory that could be incorrect. So this is not any kind of advice or medical anything, but what I was hearing, like, oh, you got to watch out, boys are going to grow up, they're going to be playing video games, and it's going to lead to them having ADD, which back then was attention deficit disorder, without necessarily the hyperactivity added to that diagnosis. So people would think of like boys like sitting in class, like wiggling and like fidgeting and not being able to sit still, and like I'm not able to sit still, and being able to like have them being like kind of loud and disruptive and not wanting to do their work and all these different things. And like, oh, the video games caused it, that was what my mind's like thinking. So back in 1982-ish, I believe, I was going in the second grade, and I believe it was that year that my dad bought a family computer that hooked up to a television, the Texas Instruments, something that had a keyboard and a console. I call it a console. You could put cartridges in it, and it was kind of, some games were similar to that of the Atari, but it had a lot more than Atari, and it also had a voice synthesizer, and it had another thing in the voice synthesizer that you could like connect more things. It was just this big box, and it was black with silver on top, and it would open up and it looked like you could do more with it. I had one game that would talk, that would work with the voice synthesizer, and then I had the video game cartridges. I had a stack of them. My brother and I kind of got this device to play with, but my brother was rarely home. So after school, all this time, I played video games all day, every day, until dinner. Well, I don't know what I did after dinner. I think I kind of watched TV with the family. So like 7 to probably 8 or something. 8, maybe if there's a show on, 8 till 9 or something. Depending how old I was. And then I had to bathe, take my shower at night, and then depending on what way my hair was. If I was older, my hair was done in the nighttime. And if I was younger, my hair was done in the morning or Saturdays. So it was kind of like a structured time, but there was plenty of video game playing. Some of the games were educational. There's a one with a mouse that would go around. There was a game with how to type. That's how I learned how to type. There was a game with Texas Instruments Invaders, which is like Space Invaders, where you kind of shoot, it goes across and you shoot the thing. I'm trying to think. I don't want to say all the games because Outdoor Disasters is actually having a debut like right now, and I kind of want to listen in on that. So I played those video games. Then we got Windows computers in the 90s, and then in 82, I believe I was playing that one video game system for 5 years. 87, I believe. 86 or 87. I think it was 87. Me and my brother was pretty much gone completely by then, but we did get a Nintendo with Super Mario Brothers, the 3 games on it with the little zapper, and then Rad Racer, and then I started getting some more games, but I got them for Christmas or my birthday, and then I had a Game Boy, and I got the same thing, like, I think I got one for my birthday, or one for Christmas, one Game Boy game. And then I had a friend that I'd borrow games, which he was a good friend. I don't even know who he is. He would send the games. We would trade games in school, and we'd call each other and be like, what game you want to trade games tomorrow? Like, I didn't talk anything. I was like such a huge tomboy, but I was having crushes on so many guys, and not one of them liked me. And as I aged, I wanted to be a model, a supermodel, and it didn't happen. And a dancer, I wanted to be a dancer on TV, like on MTV, in the background of videos. That's what, oh gosh, if you saw my body back then, the way that they want people to look, you would have been like, oh wow, someone should have picked. As I was working out and exercising and muscular and just myself, I look like I do now, I guess, but I probably looked a little bit more broken. Definitely look younger. My teeth are super white back then, and so I'm gonna get off this. But I didn't know about the rumor my mom was gonna do. Was it a master's or was it a PhD? I don't remember. I think it was. I feel like if you're a teacher, you need a master's, right? And so she was trying to get like a PhD. She didn't do a thesis, and she didn't do the thesis on ADHD or ADD, and she was her favorite was kindergarten, or usually kindergarten, but kindergarten and second grade was her favorite after she got the actual town public school job. That was her goal, and that's what she did when she finally got the job after being a sub and being in preschool and doing all this other stuff. She's always wanting to work with kids. She was always wanting to make sure kids could enjoy sports. She had a guy pick up the kids in the inner city in Ohio and pick them up, put them in the back of the truck, and take them and teach them how to play tennis. She was, as far as I know, the best tennis player I've ever seen in my life. For the life of me, I could not get a ball past her. She was a master. I don't know how she did it. It was almost like she was a Jedi. I swear to God, she was the best. She should have gone pro. She was, I don't ever play or watch pro, but she was so good, guys. She became our coach temporarily, or I guess until she got sick after I even left. She became the coach permanently until she got sick and died, literally. So I was reading books on ADD and I didn't think anything about it for myself. And then I know back when I was at the rewind back to the beginning of the story where I was at the youth center, I was picking through the trash to get 10 cents a can, soda cans out of the trash at the youth center. I'd particularly go to the back. I don't know who was throwing them. Some of the same people. I was getting them from outside, not from inside. And I think it was back then 80 cents. So you got 8. You could get a large special dark chocolate. So I started eating those every single day. The big ones, not the regular. I don't even think they had regular dark chocolate. There was, back in the day, it was 35 to 40 cents for like a Hershey bar, a regular flat Hershey bar with it spelled out Hershey's. And then you got the bigger one that was like cubes. It kind of tasted different because it had a different texture. And you'd go up, so this was at the shop across the street on the military base, where I grew up across, like in a house across the street from it, but I was on the base so much back in the day before I got into like more sports and stuff as I got older. After, I guess, 7th grade, 8th grade on, different Girl Scout groups that were off base. I stopped spending as much time, but the base was in the process of closing, and my dad had already retired, and my mom was now a school teacher, so there wasn't a lot as I aged, and I was able to stay home too. I was doing commissary and BX mainly, in library. So I self-medicated with that. I self-medicated with the medication that other kids had for ADD when I was young. That was only like part-time, like it would last me for like a week, and I didn't realize, it made me really angry when I wasn't using it, and I would get like, I got diagnosed formally with test anxiety, and, which, is that even a real diagnosis? Anyways, I had ended up doing so I don't try to like name a lot of herbs, even though I show you some of my hauls. I ended up using a herbal blend. I mean, ancient people would have used like ginkgo, and ginkgo, in my class, they said it looked like a brain, that the leaves look like a brain, and this and this and this, or like a lobe, it's called ginkgo biloba. So, I had a product, it was a blend back in the day before I started school. They said they used to pass a sprig of rosemary around the classroom during a test to help people to, have that smell of brain activation or whatever. I'm not going to go into detail right now because I want to get on this other video. Got to put it in my schedule. And I started doing more raw foods and more vegan stuff. So I was doing some dark chocolates from from Wild Oats, the ones with the animals on it, the wild endangered ones. I was eating the darkest chocolates, getting used to darker than when I was a kid. And I started making my own chocolates and finding these raw chocolates that were pretty dark. And my daughter, once I was like, while I was driving, just put the chocolate down. You like tense from it, from the caffeine and everything. So as I changed and transitioned my diet, I started buying only brands, like one called Soul and another one that was made with hemp seeds from the co-op. I don't even know the name of that. And different other like raw chocolate brownies, powdered chocolate, raw, and raw cocoa paste, cocoa butter, and maybe agave and raw agave and these different things, coconut crystals. And my kids got me a candy making set one Mother's Day, I think, and I started, maybe it was Valentine, I don't know, they got me a set. I wonder how they found that. But anyways, I used that because it came with molds, and I started making these like baby chick or whatever shaped chocolates, and I started making bars with nuts, and I just would make it melt the paste and put enough agave that it wouldn't just be liquid. And then I learned some tricks of the trade to make it smooth and creamy, like a French type chocolate or something. I don't know if I actually had it, but you get stuff in the American stores. I don't know if they're actually French, but just smooth and really good. And I had some secret ingredients that I'm not saying right now, and maybe I have some in my old videos. So I was eating that in my college, and I was drinking the raw cocoa that I'd make. It's not vegan because I use honey, and I didn't realize that I was self-medicating, and I was like losing weight on purpose. I was working out many hours, if I can, while I was studying, and I was eating a lot because I like to eat a lot. And when I cut the chocolate out sometime, I don't know if it was 2016, I had the job. No, it was after 2016. I had the job in 2016 because I didn't have any patients and I couldn't get paid. So I was doing vending, and I was doing 6 hours at this job on my feet, and I had been injured. I actually had a stool and an anti-fatigue mat, but I was able to drink. I was always rushing out in a hurry, so I was able to drink that, bring a small lunch with just like a handful of almonds, but maybe some fruit, and I was able to have this alertness, this energy, and this feeling of full because of what I was doing with the handmade chocolates. I'd wrap up in foil and eat little chunks of them throughout the day or during my breaks. And then I realized that I was addicted to it, and it was hard to get up. It was like the people that like their first morning cup of coffee. It just tastes so good every single day. And it's like a treat, but it's like you have it every day and you love it, and it's what gets you going. And if you don't have it because there's an emergency or something, you find a way to get that. And if you don't, then you're just grumpy, or if you don't do it on purpose. So it was like that, and I told myself, don't do it, quit it, just like you quit bread. And I quit, and then I've been feeling like I'm struggling. And part of it is because I have so much going on that it doesn't matter if you've got an octopus brain. If you have 16 different side hustles or jobs, and you're trying to file papers, and you've got like 25 bank accounts, I mean, it's just that in itself worked for a while, and people try to tell me that it was ludicrous. And sometimes when these banks mess up your money, you can't access it, or you misplace a card, or it never came in the mail, sometimes you're glad you have some kind of other access to something. That's what my mind says, but I can understand it simplifies this, so that's what I've been trying to do. But it's like building yourself a house that's a maze, and you're using this chocolate as a brain stimulant, and then you stop, and now you're lost on your way to the refrigerator, to the bathroom, because it's just not working anymore. So I have to like unmaze my brain. And I will tell you, before I got clean and sober, that there is a substance that is similar to what people use. One of the other substances that people can use legally and go pick up at the pharmacy and have their insurance pay for it. I self-medicated with that before I got clean and sober, and that's what got me clean and sober, because it was the street farm. And I felt like I got my kids in school, I got clean and sober, or I figured out how to go to church, and figured out how to, get help with things. I was doing my house was a little bit cleaner, like the bedroom still had a lot of cluttery stuff around, like the night table. I don't think we had a nightstand, but I wasn't, what I probably should have been was probably diagnosed earlier and put on meds, or at least had some kind of counseling or training around it before 5th grade. That's the truth. I was bored, I couldn't sit still, I was having a hard time as a kid. I was a little girl, so little girls, sometimes they try to just be good, I guess. Sit quietly, do what they want you to do. They told you you need to sit and look straight ahead and write and do this and do that, and I was really good. But I was always busy when I wasn't being forced to sit in a chair, just like the rest of us. I'm not alone in this, guys. It's hard to think of 5-year-olds having to sit for 8 hours a day. That's just weird in my mind. Maybe it's only 6, but still, that's really hard for me to even, it makes me just feel like pray for the world, because we're training each other to be adults, but not everybody sits at their job. Only a select few get the white collar office and CEO positions, and a lot of us have to do fast food and do dig ditches and whatever. I don't know, source goods at for eBay. I'm gonna get on this story. Outdoor Disaster premiere, world premiere live. Before I missed it, I think it's only gonna be on for a little while, but I feel really sick to my stomach sharing this with you guys, because if I had inspection, or if I had exams, or if I had board exams, or if I had clinical exams, and my kids had stuff, everyone, like, I wasn't eating that much chocolate. Like, I wasn't eating it after 6. Like, I'd eat a little piece in the morning and then eat, like, a little piece at lunchtime. You know what I mean? Like, a little piece. And then I would drink the drink, like, in the morning, and then I would drink it in the evening. I don't think I drink it in the afternoon. I'm a sipper. I'll sip on the same water bottle for days. I'll sip on the same tea sometimes for, like, more than 24 hours. Literally, if you see my nightstand, it's kind of gross. Like, I don't want the stuff going bad. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it's not being refrigerated all the time. Speaking of, I have one in there that needs to be refrigerated or drink. So it wasn't using a lot of this food that I was making. I was adding flax seeds. I was adding nuts and other things to help fill the protein part of my diet. And at some of these times that I was doing this, I was on a pretty regulated diet, because I needed to lose pounds, and I lost about 97 pounds, which I've gained back probably about 60 since I stopped the chocolate and started dating. And because all those things kind of happened all after the car accident in 2014, and no contact from my dad in 2016, and then the dating starting right in the beginning of 2019. Literally pretty much January 1st or 2nd, I started dating after making plans right before Christmas with this dude. And all of the stuff that I did, all the stuff in my brain, these two guys were both hyperactive, and they really distracted me, and I will be like, I'll stop what I'm doing to do what they want to do when they want to do it. So that's another part of it, is dealing with somebody else that potentially has the same issue as me. But me being a black woman, I'm just like wanting to cater to these people without getting a lot in return. And that makes it hard to focus, because it's either stop everything and do what they want, or drive across town and go stay with them because they can't sleep or whatever, or say no and sleep, say no and go do what I was going to do, work, or read a book, or do my hair, or take a shower, or wrap something up and go to the post office. Like, so that has been part of my problem. And I was talking earlier, I was mentioning in a post on someone else's YouTube video about dating, and how hard it was for them to break up their first time being clean and sober, and they needed to call someone from the program, right? And someone's like, oh, that's why they tell you not to do that, and not to date your first year. And I was like, hey, I didn't, my first relationship was at like 15 years, and I didn't even really have somebody break up with me. I guess I kind of did, but we weren't really a couple. It's just that it fell apart. Whatever we had fell apart, and it was devastating to me. When was it that I cried for the month? I think I was hanging out with somebody else when I met my one friend in 2016, right after my dad said, I'm never talking to you again, and I was just paranoid. He was unsafe to be around. I was, somebody might be here. So, after that time, I, made friends, hung out with a man and a woman, and the man disappeared just out of thin air. And I think it was was it right when I met these friends? I cried for 30 days. I think it's because I left that shell of my dad and actually had some buddies for the first time. Not just classmates that, oh, you're assigned a project, you have to work together, so you have to call someone, but actually made some friends in my AA group, which is really hard for me. I have very few friends in the program. Any programs that I go to, you can hear how fast I talk and how anxious I get. People don't want to be around me. So speaking of that, I'm missing my show. I just used the same meds, that's herbal blend that I've been using since med school, and it feels weird because I didn't want to have to self-diagnose when I'm in recovery. I wanted everything to be a script, even if it's over the counter, and I have yet to find someone who will work with me, and it's been, my first naturopath visit was probably 2004, not probably, I know it was, and people just won't work with me, and they won't let me be their patient. I'm like, it's too expensive, it's too time consuming, you're not going to be able to afford it, you're not going to, you can't, and, or they stopped taking my insurance, which was always Medicaid most of the time, and so it's really sad because I want to be together. I want to be social. I'm a super social person, even though I like to recluse, but I still maybe like to recluse and socialize. There's a lot of people that do that. But yeah, I'm going to get on my other show. That's the story of myself, and I got diagnosed at 45 or 46 years of age. Again, the person that was the prescriber around that time said that you absolutely cannot take any meds because you used, and the specific medication, the specific substance she asked that I ever used, I used it like a handful of times in the 90s, but it wasn't the DRUG of choice. It definitely was not. In fact, I didn't even like that medication that she asked about. And it's so hard to believe when you're young, your mom dies, your mother-in-law dies, and you experiment with some crap because some guy had it, and you're playing cards, and it's not something that you kept and used daily or even every weekend. It was just like a handful of times. I didn't like it, didn't do well. The last time I used it, this is not working for me. And she based that, it wasn't just general drug addiction, she based that on you're never going to be able to get prescriptions for ADHD because of something that you did in 1997. Because I can remember 97, 98, and it just hurts because it'd be like if I was in agony and I needed an opioid because nothing else worked, or if I was dying and the pain was unbearable. I don't want to take it. But if I got to that point, you need comfort. Comfort become, you get trumped. You call someone, you take as prescribed. And if you can get the prescription and hold off, that's up to you, your guy, your sponsor, your program, whatever, your combination. But to be denied that basic human right, to me, is sick, is torture. And it could cause somebody to just do really poorly. It's like denying someone the IEP in school, but everyone else who needs it gets it. And then you wonder why they flunked out of school in 11th grade, because they didn't get the right care. And it breaks my heart to know that there's people out there that will be so conservative that they're going to judge you because you experimented with a plant-based product in the past that you have not touched in over 19 years. And if you see most of the prescriptions my doctor gave me, I have not touched unless I used one twice in the past 4 years, like 2 different capsules. When I took like a Tylenol once, a year ago I took a Tylenol once when I fell down the stairs. I won't even take Tylenol for Pete's sake, so that I feel like I'm on drugs because I'm drinking chamomile tea and I'm all paranoid about that, but enough is enough, and I'm trying to figure out and work with the world, and I've been praying for a miracle, and I've been telling God, like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I might just need to be like an automaton and go and sit and work for someone else and be given a task list to do for my 8 hours. And I've been looking at government jobs. I've been looking at trying to move maybe to the other side of the bay. Like, that's where the desperation is. And a lot of it, again, is nobody's working with me. And when I brought it up with my other counselor, 2019, sometime after 2019 or later, he kept blowing it off. And my partner had to sit down and say, listen, she is really struggling with this. You need to listen. And it sucks that I have to go through that. And then again, the prescriber telling me never, because you use something a handful or less of times. But I can remember each time I used that one product. Again, it was because someone else had something. It wasn't something that I really felt like. I mean, I think that might have came into my house a couple times, even up in before 2002. Maybe I think one more time in 2002 this happened. Maybe not, though. I don't think, yeah, I think there was one time that there was something. It was literally like 5 times. I can remember each time, whatever year it was, and it wasn't something that I had sitting in a box at home that say it's time for me to do this. But it's interesting that so many people have prescriptions for these same things, similar things, different things that I'm talking about, similar things that I've talked about in the past. I'm trying not to put the words in. It breaks my heart because I also tell people, I also tell patients that they to take the certain meds that I am allowed to prescribe or recommend, and they don't take them, and then they wonder why I suck at my job because they didn't get healed, or they took a medicine that wasn't the same as, they took a lower quality product with a bunch of fillers, and you're like, even if it doesn't have fillers, there's different, like, you can get the dust off the floor of a factory, or you could get some really good product that these people grow, this plant themselves, and it's organic, and it's, you know, it's not sawdust, and, you know, it's fresh, it's not sprayed with a bunch of stuff, it works. People take this other one and say it doesn't work. You're telling me to take the same thing. No, I'm not telling you to take the same thing. I'm telling you to take a high quality. You can get a really cheap steak and make it work. But once in a while, you want something that's like going to melt in your mouth, right? Peace, guys. I'm going to check out this show. Wish me luck. If you guys have any comments about like just being neglected or told no, or just struggling with something that the stereotype was, you know, it's basically like little white boys that just couldn't keep still. They just had too much energy. We got to like kind of quiet them down and get them to focus and get them to stop failing kindergarten and get, you know, and then they end up doing well. That's the thing. A lot of it's because they end up doing well. And they grow into adulthood and they end up doing well. Are there side effects? Of course. But we are being made to conform to society standards. Peace, guys.